Right, hopefully that's a lot better for our audio today, because yesterday I forgot to adjust one last setting before I started talking. So hopefully this is better, because I had the sound almost drowning me out yesterday. So where last we left off, we have the Queen. And I'm going to see if this light's not going to be cranky. Alright, so I just need to tweak my ISO real quick. Bump that up. Alright, that should be good. So my desk is still chaos. That's normally my process as far as my desk, figuring out how best to use the space, so I will move stuff as I need to. Basically, it needs to annoy me. Hopefully this mic isn't too far away. Check out... yeah, that should be good. Alright. So we painted the Queen yesterday, and today I had actually messed up the prompt. So the Queen was supposed to be day 5. That was the day that I had to skip streaming because of hardware issues. Because of getting the new desk set up. And basically dock-ocked my space, so now I have all these crazy arms everywhere to support everything I need for the stream. And now I got room for the camera to be right side up. It's able to be mounted right side now. And it swivels a lot easier too, so hopefully that's a good thing. We'll go ahead and back up a little bit. Get that. Adjusting my lens makes the swivel function. I could tighten that up, but I kind of like being able to like just quickly give you a tour. Look at that, I can back up and you can see the whole thing, and I got room on the sides. Awesome. Alright, so for Wonderland, not much has changed other than we got the Queen painted yesterday. And that I went in and adjusted some detail in the frame. Which I'm gonna hope that our stream stays pretty solid here. It's telling me to drop frames. Hopefully it didn't glitch too bad on you guys. Great, so what I've been working on today is we have Alice sliding down into the potion bottle. We'll slide that over a little further. So my big thing is adding the label, which I haven't decided how I want that to sit, because like I said, the idea for this whole composition is that it'll work well for a print as well as working well for stickers. So because of how I've added Alice, I do want to have this be a viable sticker where if you wanted to put it vertically, that it would work in a journal. So we'll see it vertically. That doesn't look too bad. It looks like she just slid in to the bottle, and I would have the top of the sticker cut off up here. So if I'm in frame. Zoom out a little bit. Less out of frame. So I want it to work as a sticker like this because that's most likely the way that it would be used for somebody who's journaling. I think my potion bottle is a little uneven. We're going to square up these edges a little bit. This needs to come out over here. Even with the other side. Means that this needs to not be so deep. I think that's it. Alright, so quick correction on that. Now I'm flipping it upside down just because that's easier for me to get to drawing-wise. And don't forget to pop a little bit of paper under your hand if you're going to be leaning on the work. widen the mouth of this jar just a touch and bring out this edge just a touch. This is actually a really good thing to point out. Like, it is amazing when you look at your stuff from a different angle, just so you can make sure that everything is correct. I think this lip went a little wonky. This teeny tiny little edge here. I'll bring the brush in a moment just to kind of settle that, these crumbs off. Alright, so I want the potion to dip down this way a little further. That spot. Very gently. We're going to leave this pretty transparent here, so like I said, it will work really well as a sticker. And it'll just be a light spot as far as the composition-wise, value-wise comes in. And then the question becomes, where do I put this label? I think, just in the sake of getting us off to a start pretty early, I'm going to leave that alone, and we'll figure that out later. So today's prompt is officially potion, and yesterday's was Alice. I have some very subtle little bubbles that are up in this wave coming around. We'll detail that a little bit. See if I'm good as far as desk. Shift Alice over a little bit. She's centered. Having this this new mount definitely makes it easier to get around on putting different areas of this into focus. So I hope you've been enjoying that improvement. I'm looking to do lots of improvements as we go along over the course of this month. So I don't recall there being a description to the color of the potion bottle. I'm actually going to do a quick check for that. And getting a lot of unhelpful results. So I don't have any cues as far as what color this should be, etc., etc. I've always kind of liked doing like some vibrant greens and blues. It's kind of what I feel for the potion, and I think that works well for the composition, because we're keeping this side of the page generally more on the blues and greens, and as we get to the queen, we're going like deeper, darker reds, blacks, golds. I just kind of feel like that works as you're getting deeper into Wonderland. You're getting deeper into this darker area story-wise. So I think we're gonna go with that. And I think with that we can go ahead and start painting. Let's get our paper towel up here. Going to be kind of off the corner. I may actually wind up painting her upside down. It might be easier for me to just have more space for my hand to rest. But we'll see where we can get to at the moment. One of the things that was definitely in mind when I was working on the pencil sketch and deciding what kind of wardrobe I was going to have Alice in is thinking about how Disney has created this very iconic image in mind, which is actually very similar to how Tenniel originally did the illustrations for Alice in Wonderland. So it's like Disney does not have copyright on that white pinafore. That was super common dress during the Victorian era. And I'm gonna drink some coffee and be muted for just a second here so I'm not slurping in your ear. Yeah, so I started really late on coffee today, so trying to get caught up. It's important to hydrate, even though I guess coffee is probably not the most hydrating beverage. I'm just fine with what I got. Alright, so let's see. I'm going to bend physics a bit when it comes to Alice in this potion bottle. And we're actually going to do a pretty significant wash here. We're gonna see how much water I can get on the page here. We're gonna start off with our ocean. And you can't see that in frame at all, so I'm gonna back up just a touch. We're gonna stop that from tilting. And try to move up just a touch. There we go. Okay, if I can go a little further up there and then I can zoom in a little bit. I'm not going to go with the deepest wash. Let's go ahead and start this off being rather blue. So we'll go back to our the phthalo blue turquoise, or phthalo turquoise blue. I really need to look that up. I'm gonna do that for the initial blues, very kind of tropical and serene. I probably need a bit more of that. Alright, so mixing up washes. I'll bring that over here so a little more interesting. So I have a decent little puddle. Alright, and then I'm also going to go into the phthalo green yellow shade. Not going to be quite as significant, so I'm not trying to do as much. I just kind of like the idea of the water as it's going into the potion bottle just kind of getting muddled. So I might actually do just a touch of the phthalo green blue shade as we blend into the different colors here. Helps if I put that back in frame. Okay, so phthalo green yellow shade, phthalo green blue shade, phthalo blue turquoise, or phthalo turquoise blue. I really need to look up that PV16 pigment. A lot of colors, a lot of brands have it as a phthalo turquoise. And with Daniel Smith's brand, they went with a mix of a phthalo blue and a phthalo green for their phthalo turquoise. So the phthalo turquoise blue or phthalo blue turquoise, that one is a single pigment, which is why I like that one. Alright, let's get back to our wash, which I barely had any water down up here before I noticed you guys were out of frame. So we want this nice and light. I can come in and do some shadows later. I'll go ahead and deepen this whole area up later. But because it is part of the mouth of the potion bottle. I want to make sure that we can get like a nice smooth blend of color from one to the other, even though I plan on darkening just the area around the bottle. And my lines aren't perfect because this working on camera still feels a little weird, actually. I'm normally right on top of my work, which is probably terrible for my posture. Bring this all the way down. I'm going to leave Alice out of this wash. That's what I meant about, like, reality bending. Not really. Like, she's in the wash, but at the same time, she's not. I wish I had done another droplet up there. Yeah, that's alright. We'll just pop in a little droplet. And I'm working this water back up because I feel like this is already starting to dry a little. That was definitely starting to dry a little. This is one thing that I'm definitely learning to get better at with in relation to watercolor. Nice smooth washes. I am the worst about just letting some things just sit and wait. So I mess with them as they're drying. And I mess it up. But sometimes you just need to have a little more patience. Hopefully that's enough, and you probably can see it because I've noticed there's a touch of something still in my paintbrush. That's okay, it'll blend right in. As far as Alice's colors, I'm not positive what color I'm going to put her in. As far as research, you know, I've confirmed the white pinafore is definitely common, but the problem with a lot of Victorian photos, they're black and white. I'm not gonna see a whole lot there, so. That can be difficult sometimes. Excuse me. Alright. Sorry about not muting there. Once paint is on the paper, for a wash, that is it. You are working on that wash. Go ahead and get that down where you need it to be down. This will be a lot more exciting in later videos too. You see more of the scenery coming to life. That's why I was like, you know what? This potion bottle, we're gonna make some of Wonderland start happening. A little more of that blue. This brush holds a good bit of color on it. At least enough for me working small. I don't know if anybody working larger sizes would find this to be adequate. As long as it works for me, that's what I need. I tried to find some more physical descriptions of Alice, because I don't want to do all the stereotypes of, like, blonde hair, blue dress, white pinafore. Some of the things that have been kind of done to death. Oh, grab a little bit of that pigment up here. Alright, and at this point I'm going to transition the color from that blue to that. we're gonna go into I'm going to the phthalo green blue shade. Just a bit. I'm gonna do that around here. That's really bad mix. Alright, we'll calm that just a touch. And the reason for the step in between, I want to make sure that there's not too much yellow in the phthalo green yellow shade, where that's going to be problematic for blending these colors. Because with the too much yellow, you get a really vibrant green, which I mean, I guess that's what I'm going for anyway. I just kind of see it as the potion bottle's magic. It turns the water into the potion. Probably could have went a little stronger with the pigment. You can see some of the color working into itself. I went a little too far with the wash up here. Really wanted to preserve my highlight up there. That's alright. Gently go out along the ledge here. I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper. There's like a secondary line to this wave to help give the surface dimension. So like this edge of the liquid was tipped down lower. And then you have another line here to help create like depth for the contents of the potion. I don't know if that makes sense dimensionally. But I see it in my brain, so that's what I'm going to go with. I do want to do a deeper shade though. So we're going to leave that alone since that wash is very wet. Let's see what we can do while we're waiting. I'm so tempted to go ahead and fix that wave. There's a little section here that I didn't do. Leave it alone. Leave that wash alone. Right, so maybe I could think about this, maybe consider this label. So that wash is gonna need a minute. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take a look on Twitch. We're gonna see if we have any comments for the moment, and you are welcome to feel free to comment. Hop over here. Alright, it looks like it's just me. And that's okay. I get that 2 o'clock is a terrible time for streaming. A lot of people are busy at work, you know, you just had lunch, you can't really sneak off if you want to, and that's fine. So I'm gonna take a moment to drink my coffee before it gets cold. And yeah, we're basically just waiting on that wash to dry just a little bit further before we can start getting in some more details. Alright. So the coffee is done. And our wash is still very wet. I'll tip this a little bit. This is give you guys an idea of like when you should absolutely not be messing with a wash. Unless you're trying to add more color to it. Catch the reflection. There it is. See the little glisten of the wash being wet, and that actually extends all the way up into this wave. That whole wave is a little bit too damp to work on. So rather than just sit here, because that wash is so significant for the formation of this whole bottle, let's go ahead and jump over to one of our other characters for a moment. And let's see. About the only thing I really feel comfortable going in is maybe a touch of detail on the queen's sleeve. Try and deepen that a little bit. I can get some shadows in on her ruff. It'll go really dry. I've been using this neutral tint for just about everything on here lately. And just the slightest hint of shadow underneath, and then to go ahead and help give us some dimension. A couple of these areas. It's really subtle. I might actually need to go back into that in a bit. That's alright. Go in just a touch darker at the bottom of this sleeve where the gathers are. Did that initially yesterday, but it didn't really show up as well as I had hoped. Add a little bit more detail up too. When the fabric gets all bunched together, you're going to have some shadows. And hopefully that's focusing on the work. Yay, it is! And I'm leaning my hand on the piece like I shouldn't be. It's funny, like when I'm doing stuff off camera, I'm probably a lot more diligent about that. I don't know what it is. Alright. I probably should have gone a little thinner with her arm too. And this forearm in the front is a little bit bigger than I planned. I'm kind of debating if I want to give her a skin tone at all. Let's see, we're gonna go maybe like something not quite human. I'm gonna go with some really light Caroline violet, I think. And just show up how unnaturally toned she is. Looks so dark right now. I'm definitely gonna be blotting that. I made that a little bit thinner across here because I'm going to narrow her arm just a touch. Ooh, and that was wet. Like, yes, come watch me paint and screw things up on camera. Live for your entertainment. The silliest thing is like, there's a reason why I have paper over here, and things along those lines. Like, I have that stuff over here so that way I can check my color before I use it on the piece. And put the slightest on her face to blush. Oh, that's right, I wanted to put in her tongue too. Her mouth is still a little wonky. I want to go in more detail for that, but that's going to have to wait. Just gonna grab the tiniest little touch of the Quin Lilac, which is quinacridone magenta to any other brand. And we're mixing that in with the Pyroline Violet. Make her tongue a slightly more natural color. We're not trying to have it being like neon. Alright, that looks better already. Now let's check back on our wash. It's looking a lot drier. It's also looking a lot flatter than I like. But for the sake of moving the stream along, we will leave that wash as is. We'll develop that further later. And let's see, we can start popping in some color. Which I'm just realizing that I forgot to lighten up pencil lines on Alice here. I am thinking about going with a blue and some boots, just some Victorian boots. What's your favorite version of Alice? Do you like some of the more extreme versions that have been in comics? I've seen some very adult oriented comics for Alice, as well as you have things like American McGee's video game. So what's your favorite version of Alice? Kind of where I was initially going with my nail polish for today. I went with the two shades of blue that I have, but I wasn't really feeling them together. They looked kind of awkward. And then I added this this purple glaze that has like a really neat starry effect. But the downside is that if you try to use it by itself, it's like jelly. You need like 3 or 4 layers in order to get like a really intense color, and it is pretty by itself, but I normally don't have the time to be painting my nails for that long, waiting for paint to dry. Oh, I forgot to go to a little paler. But anyone hopping in for the replay, like, feel free to go ahead and comment. I'd love to know what you're talking about. You know, let's keep the conversation going. So I do go back and check on comments. Oh, I realized I didn't put Alice's face on. Well, it looks like that's going to be a surprise like the Hatter's face. Yeah, we're already past a half hour. We're not spending more time drawing right now. Alright, I think I'm going to stick with the number 1 brush. Even though it's probably a little bit small for some of the details. For the scale of Alice, because she's back, she's not here up front in the foreground, she's further back. A lot of those details probably shouldn't be on there, but for the sake of stickers being interesting, that is something I need. Ah, I think I figured it out with this crazy light. Got a motion sensor. That's just silly. Like, you know, I turned that light on, stay on while I'm working, and I've blown out the scene here. That'll work. Hopefully it's not too bad to readjust settings. Alright, so let's give this potion bottle a little bit more depth. We'll go in with a little bit of Payne's Gray. I do want that bluish tone. We'll go across up here. And I think the playlist is over. I don't hear something else starting. Alright. We're keeping that kind of light so that we can still add other highlights and shadows through it. And I'm just jumping back on. Let's find another playlist real fast. Ooh, how about this one's called Night Air. I like it. It works. Great, and I should still have a bit of that phthalo blue. We're going to go ahead and build up the edges, which for this, I am going to tilt. And that puts everything way out of frame. That's not good. Okay, well, let's readjust this touch. Bring you over here. Everything's in frame. Alright, we're good. And that's because straight lines, my friends. Need something that's is relatively a straight line. Ooh, I think that side's a little bit lower still. I mean, a little bit higher, and it needs to come down lower. Okay, I still want there to be a highlight here. So I want to convey that there is some depth going on. I don't have a reference that I'm looking at for this bottle. I'm just kind of thinking of where I tend to see highlights and distortions at. A lot of times you'll get stuff along here. Convey some dimension, difference between this lip and this side coming down in. deeper here, there. I'm leaving my lines kind of sketchy. I think that helps to let a little bit of light come through, some surprise, like pops of light being distorted coming down from this edge. Really reflecting to the front here. Let's see, we should also have some distortions through the neck of the bottle. Move across this way. That's real light. That's okay. Take this line and bring it down. Go a little darker there. A touch darker here. A little bit of that. And I'm gonna amp up a little bit more contrast at towards the top of the bottle. Really push the difference between this layer and that layer. Edge a little bit more. Then we go a bit lighter. Alright. Come back in with the phthalo green yellow shade. We want to push the depth in this ocean. Very carefully around these little Victorian shoes. Kind of my weird balance between like getting caught up on where Alice is, but I also feel like, well, today's prompt is technically potion. And it's just, Alice just happens to be there. Dark with this bit. Push that depth. So I'm planning for Alice to have some really fun striped socks. I think that would be interesting. Wonder if you guys have a preference as far as colorful striped socks. I think black and white would be fun for just high contrast. You can see a little spot that I missed I was doing the initial wash. There's a little spot here too. That one I can fix. This one's not gonna be too obvious of a fix. Okay, we'll leave that alone. And I think I will go back in and fix those bubbles. I should have used a little bit of masking fluid to go ahead and preserve their highlights so we can paint them where they look convincing. That's alright. It can be fixed. Alright, so that helps push a little bit of depth there. This is all going to get separate washes because I'll need to retain a little bit of the light to show the light is coming from over here. This will get a little bit darker, bits of this will be showing light, and I have a little bit of water on my ferrule. One of the big things you gotta look out for is getting water on your ferrule, because it can just unexpectedly blob right down onto your painting, or it could sneak into the bristles, and then suddenly you're using a much more watery mix. So, keep an eye on that. It is sneaky. So we have a little bit of dimension going on with this bottle. Not a lot. I'm going to push the background of it a little bit. I'm going to grab a little bit of this Payne's Gray. It's still pretty watery right now, especially with this brush. So I'm gonna do a little wash by Alice. Just push that down here into the background. This is a terrible idea for painting Alice. I'm kind of in a debate. Do I try to go a little longer with this stream because I am trying to make up 2 prompts? Or do we stay as is on schedule? Darker up there too, why not? A very light wash. Go over her hair just a touch. I probably should have used neutral tint for that. Actually, that's a mix that I haven't tried. Just see if it goes green with a yellow. That's alright. Well, we have the start of our potion bottle, at the very least. Looking around at her, seeing if I feel comfortable painting anything on her. The pinafore is white, so not a whole lot of detail there. I'm just popping in some slight shadows. I'll probably go a little bit yellow with the shadows, just because we're still capturing light coming in from this beach area. I have some crumb, probably of watercolor pigment. Get you off before you cause mess. Alright, and now I think we'll turn... I think we'll just keep painting her from this angle. I think this angle works for being able to see her. Maybe a little more zoom though. Bring it in for some detail. I look like I got a fuzzy sitting in here. I think. You know, Alice looks kind of like a rag doll. Oh, she needs some detail. Alright, let's see. I think we'll go with a deeper blue, at least initially. With some indanthrone. So, the thing about her dress is a lot of it's going to be covered by this pinafore, which is a fancy way of just saying apron. I decided on some ruffles at the bottom edge of her pinafore. And then, classic with Alice falling down anywhere, you're going to see some indication of petticoats. There's that bottom edge. Woo! That was not good. Shirt sleeves, man. Alright, let's pull that sleeve up. Alright, so we'll have a little bit over here. I could have gone with aging Alice a bit for this, but I really like the original. Classic 7-year-old Alice, which might be just where I am in my life. Because, geez, this year I'm going to have a 7-year-old again. Kids grow up fast. Went with some billowy sleeves. Elbow length. I hadn't really decided on a collar for the dress. I just had the pinafore kind of covering it. I suppose is quite valid, but at the same time it feels a little bit like a cop-out. I'll have to add a shadow in later so you can distinguish between her arm and the top half of the dress. There we go. We have Alice and a pinafore. And then going in with some neutral tint for some stripes. To help give her legs a little bit more of a clear shape. Even though these would have to be some pretty wide stripes for us to see this far away at this scale. But right by that ruffle. Which we could argue is the shadow. Just leave that stripe alone. It's getting wider and wider. Alright, and then maybe some boots. Thought about doing brown. You don't see a lot of brown leather and Victorian stuff unless it's steampunk, but I was also thinking like, well, what color boots would I prefer to see? I'll go with some very common Victorian boots. Which from this distance have zero detail. No laces or anything. You can't make it out from this. Really have to turn that alarm off, but it is a good reminder of end of the stream. Like, you know, the end of the stream can wait a moment, because I want to get this boot here painted in. And there's room for one more stripe on the stocking. Go with thinned out. I would say neutral tint, but I'm pushing slightly more blue tones because of reflected highlights that you would see in this area. Oh, going with the Payne's Gray. And keep all of our shadows a bit on the cooler side. And it's just little touches here and there. Help convey the details, and I'm not even going it with details really, just kind of pat, pat, pat. Help indicate some shadows here. Probably should go a little bit lighter with my wash. Kind of obliterating. Yeah, I'm obliterating all this detail. I'm gonna have to come back in with something lighter. Okay, I do some crisp edges and then come back and do more shading, but I just mucked it all up. I have some bleed-proof white. I'll go in there later. drop on the ferrule. Alright. Basically, coming in with this detail was just to help say, here's her legs. Big part of what that detail was for. Make her legs more apparent from the dress. Which has worked. So we are good. Okay, so now I'm using that Payne's Gray still. Just to add that little shadow by the body. Help differentiate her arm from the bodice. And we'll add a little bit of a shadow along this edge of the skirt. And a little bit of a shadow along this edge of the sleeve. And wrapping this up, but I kind of feel bad not having the rest of her details in place, so we'll add some subtle lines to go ahead and indicate stitching, little details on the pinafore. And a little bit of shadow there under the arm. So then, is Alice blonde? I'm kind of leaning towards yes. Let's see. I'm going to grab a little bit of the Quinn Gold. And then we'll pop in some shadows with some raw sienna in just a moment. Alright, and we'll just add in this hair. And then we're gonna go ahead and end today there. I'll go ahead and figure out Alice's face details for the next time. I'm just doing everything in a solid wash. I'm gonna lift off this little puddle back here. Try too dark. That's better. Leaves that a little bit thick. Alright. Well, it's been fun painting with you guys again today, and can't wait till tomorrow. Let's see, tomorrow is... list. Tomorrow is Key, which I have not put in yet, so we will see where that goes in a bit. And as always, keep painting.